what if I told you the most confident people in the room are actually terrified?
Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but it's completely true.
Right. Like that person crushing a massive presentation or, launching that risky startup, they aren't running on some magical, fearless energy that you were just born without.
Oh, definitely not.
Welcome to today's Deep Dive Learner. Today, we're taking a single, incredibly potent piece of source material, a document called the Confidence Formula No One Talks About.
Such a good one.
It really is. And our mission today is to completely dismantle this conventional wisdom that confidence is just an innate trait.
It really is a necessary teardown, honestly,
Yeah.
because we tend to treat confidence almost like the weather.
Oh, totally. Like you wake up and just hope it's sunny.
Exactly. You look up at your internal sky, hope it's a confident day, and if it's not, you just stay inside.
You just wait.
Right, you wait. But the framework we're looking at today proves that waiting is the exact reason so many highly capable people spend their life, well, paralyzed on the sidelines.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because digging into this material, it completely flips the script on how we are taught to operate.
It really does flip everything.
But before we can construct a reliable system for confidence, we have to look at the bug in the code. We have to understand this deeply flawed operating system most of us are running on right now.
Yeah, and that bug stems from a massive societal lie. I mean, it's a lie so pervasive we don't even question it.
Which is what?
The lie is simply this: you need to feel confident before you take action.
Right. Yeah.
On the surface, that sounds like common sense. We see someone step onto a stage, they look composed, and our brain automatically deduces, they feel confident, therefore they are able to step on stage.
But how does that lie actually play out in real time for the rest of us? Because, we've all been there.
Oh, 100%.
You face a new challenge, maybe asking for a promotion or learning a new language, and naturally, you doubt
Of
yourself.
course you do.
So, buying into the lie, you decide to wait until you feel ready. You delay taking the action.
Yep.
And because you delay, your reality stays exactly the same.
Nothing changes.
Nothing changes, which just reinforces your original conclusion like, see, I'm not doing it. I just need more confidence.
It's a brutal, self-fulfilling prophecy. You are caught in this loop of stagnation, just waiting for an emotion to rescue you from your own hesitation.
It makes me think of trying to learn how to ride a bike by sitting on the curb and reading a 200-page engineering manual on gyroscopic physics.
Just reading the manual, yeah.
You're just sitting there refusing to actually get on the seat and pedal until you theoretically feel balanced, but you can't feel balanced until you're moving.
Right. That is the perfect way to visualize it. And what's fascinating here is how we need to redefine the very nature of what confidence actually is.
Okay.
The fundamental truth we have to internalize is that confidence is never the starting point. It is the result. Yes, it is the exhaust that comes out of the engine of action. If humanity actually needed confidence to start things, we would never have launched a single business or, discovered a medical breakthrough or even learned to build a fire.
We'd all be sitting in caves waiting to feel properly motivated about rubbing two sticks together.
Literally.
But wait, if I am legitimately paralyzed by anxiety, telling me to just take action feels a bit like telling a drowning person to just swim.
Yeah, it sounds a little dismissive.
Right. How do we bridge that massive gap between terror and taking that first step?
Well, that is the ultimate friction point, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that is where we have to discard the idea of motivation entirely.
No motivation at all.
None. You don't bridge the gap by hyping yourself up or reciting positive affirmations in the mirror.
Then what do you do?
You bridge it with a very specific three-part mathematical equation from the text. Confidence equals action plus repetition plus proof.
Action plus repetition plus proof.
Hmm.
Okay, let's look closely at that first variable, action. It sounds so simple, but the friction of doing something when you are unsure is immense.
Oh, absolutely. But the instruction here isn't about taking massive, reckless leaps.
It's about moving despite the discomfort, right? It's moving when the voice of self-doubt is screaming in your ear.
Exactly.
No.
Because the sheer physics of taking an action, any action, no matter how small, interrupts the overthinking pattern.
Because the anxiety lives entirely in a hypothetical future.
Yes. Action forces your brain out of that imaginary disaster scenario and grounds you strictly in the immediate present.
Oh, wow.
You take the action not to succeed immediately, but simply to break the paralysis.
Which naturally leads to the second variable, which is repetition, doing it again and again.
Right.
But I have to push back on this a bit.
Okay, go for it.
Let's say I take the action. I force myself to do the thing that scares me. I get up to give a toast at a wedding, my hands are shaking, I drop my index cards, I stutter through the whole thing, and I sit down completely mortified.
Sounds awful.
Right. How does doing something poorly actually build confidence? Doesn't a failure like that just confirm my worst fears and destroy whatever self-trust I had?
That is a very real fear, and it feels devastating in the moment. But if we connect this to the bigger picture of how the human brain actually processes threats, it makes perfect sense.
How so?
We have to look at the amygdala. Your amygdala is essentially that primal, hypersensitive smoke alarm in your brain. Its only job is threat detection.
Okay.
When you stand up to give that toast, your amygdala looks at all those eyes staring at you and interprets them as predators. It sounds the alarm.
So it's basically asking, are we going to die right now? Check yes or no.
Precisely. It does not care about your eloquence. It doesn't care if you dropped your notes. It is judging the situation on a singular metric: survival.
Wow, just survival.
Yeah. So even if your voice shakes and you bomb the speech, you sit back down and, well, you didn't die. You survived.
And your brain logs that data.
Exactly. Repetition isn't about mastery right out of the gate. It is about desensitizing your primal brain to the fear of the unknown. Familiarity is the true antidote to fear.
So it just lowers the baseline panic.
Yes. The 10th time you stand up to speak, your amygdala says, oh, we have been here before. It is uncomfortable, sure, but it is not lethal.
So the goal of repetition isn't perfection. It's just lowering the volume of the alarm bell.
That's it.
That completely changes the stakes. It means you are allowed to be messy at the beginning.
Highly encouraged to be messy, honestly.
But if surviving the threat gets us past the initial panic, how do we actually build the active belief that we are good at this? Like, how do we transition from just surviving to actually trusting ourselves?
That requires the final and most crucial step of the formula: proof.
Proof?
You cannot just blindly repeat an action and hope confidence magically appears. You have to actively collect the evidence of your survival and your adaptation.
Like logging the data points.
Exactly. You have to consciously log the data. I handled that unexpected problem. I navigated that awkward conversation. I can do it again.
Because the brain trusts patterns, not words. Belief has to follow behavior.
Spot on.
Which brings to mind the old cliche, fake it till you make it.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we have all tried that at some point in our careers. You just project bravado and hope nobody realizes you have no idea what you're doing.
We've all been there.
But this framework heavily critiques that approach.
And for good reason. Fake it till you make it might give you a temporary adrenaline boost, but it is a house of cards. It collapses because it lacks the one thing your brain actually respects: a track record.
It's like building a Hollywood movie set.
Oh, I like that.
You walk down a studio backlot, and it looks like a sturdy, historical brick bank building. It looks totally real from the street.
Right.
But if you walk around to the back, you see it's just cheap plywood propped up by a couple of 2x4s. There's no foundation. There's no plumbing.
Nothing backing it up.
Right. The moment a strong wind blows, or in real life, the moment a genuine, unscripted challenge arises, the entire facade collapses.
That is so true. And this raises an important question about the relationship between our internal realities and our external actions.
Okay.
I love that movie set metaphor because we can take it a step further. Imagine your brain is the city's building inspector.
Oh, the building inspector.
Yeah. You can paint that plywood to look exactly like brick. You can stand in front of the mirror and tell yourself, I am a powerful, confident expert.
Right.
But your brain, the inspector, walks up, knocks on the wall, hears a hollow thud, and immediately realizes it's a fake. Then what happens? It triggers your anxiety.
Because you're essentially lying to yourself.
Exactly. The brain is a highly sophisticated pattern recognition machine. You cannot trick it with enthusiastic slogans.
It knows the difference.
It absolutely knows. If there's a discrepancy between the hyped up words you tell yourself and the actual behavioral evidence in your history, your brain will always default to believing your actions. You literally have to present the inspector with hard, concrete evidence to pass the inspection.
So internal self-trust, built on actual proof, always trumps external hype.
Every time.
But what's interesting is that once you start genuinely pouring that concrete, once that internal engine of proof is running, it does inevitably spill over into the physical world. It manifests outwardly.
It does. True internal confidence externalizes itself in very observable ways.
Like how?
Well, it alters your posture, your cadence when you speak, how you hold eye contact, and even how you dress.
And I want to touch on that because the framework points out that your external style or presentation shouldn't be a costume you hide behind.
Right. It's not the plywood front of the movie set.
It becomes an extension of your identity. It reflects the discipline and clarity you've built behind the scenes. You don't have to try so hard to look the part externally because the internal foundation is solid.
It is the stark difference between putting on a sharp suit to pretend you are a disciplined professional versus putting on that same suit because it accurately reflects the professional rigor you've already cultivated in your daily unseen habits.
So how do we actually cultivate those daily habits? Like, if faking it is just a plywood movie set, how do we pour the concrete?
The framework provides a really tactical 5-step action plan to start generating this proof immediately.
Let's dig into these because this is where the theory hits the pavement. Step 1, do one hard thing daily.
And let's clarify what hard means here.
Right. It doesn't mean you have to run a marathon every Tuesday.
No. It's about overcoming daily micro-friction. It could be taking a cold shower. It could be initiating a difficult conversation you've been avoiding.
Or it could simply be choosing to read a chapter of a book instead of doom scrolling for an hour.
Exactly. It's about intentionally introducing a small amount of voluntary adversity just to prove to your brain that you can handle discomfort.
Which bleeds right into step 2. Keep promises to yourself.
This one is so critical.
Because we break promises to ourselves all the time, like hitting the snooze button when we promised we'd go to the gym. We just shrug it off.
We shrug it off consciously, but subconsciously it is devastating. Neurologically, breaking a promise to yourself fractures your self-trust.
Really? Just the small things.
Absolutely. Think about it this way. If you had a friend who constantly promised to meet you for coffee, but they flaked on you 5 days in a row, would you trust them on the 6th day?
Oh, absolutely not. I'd stop listening to anything they said.
Exactly. And yet, we do that to ourselves constantly. We tell ourselves we are going to do something, we flake, and then we wonder why we feel so insecure and anxious when it's time to perform.
Because our own brain doesn't trust our word.
Yes. Keeping the smallest promises to yourself is the baseline requirement for confidence.
That is a tough pill to swallow, but it makes so much sense.
Okay.
Okay, step 3. Track your wins, even the tiny ones.
Right?
I'll be honest, I used to hate the idea of journaling or writing down my wins. It always felt a bit, self-congratulatory or cheesy to me.
It feels that way if you view it as an ego boost. But if you view it as forensic accounting for your brain, the perspective shifts.
Forensic accounting. Okay.
Remember the building inspector. Your brain needs receipts. When you are hit with a wave of imposter syndrome, your brain will naturally search for evidence of your incompetence.
Wow.
If you haven't actively tracked your wins, the problems you solved, the projects you finished, the hard feedback you absorbed, you leave your brain empty-handed.
Wow.
Tracking your wins is literally building a legal case for your own competence.
You are building the paper trail.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Step 4 is a big one. Stop overthinking and start executing.
We touched on this earlier, yeah.
The core idea here is that clarity comes from action, not from endless rumination.
Oh.
You cannot think your way into feeling certain.
No, you can't. Analysis paralysis is just another defense mechanism. We convince ourselves that if we just research a little more or map out one more contingency plan, we will finally feel safe enough to act.
But the landscape changes the moment you take a step anyway.
Exactly. The only way to get true clarity on the next step is to take the first one and see how the environment reacts.
Which brings us to the final piece. Step 5, build identity through action.
This is a powerful one.
This involves shifting your internal language from I want to be confident to I am someone who shows up.
Yes.
So what does this all mean for you, learner? Because out of everything we've discussed today, this feels like the absolute linchpin.
It really is.
If someone is listening to this right now, feeling overwhelmed by the idea of completely rebuilding their mindset, is this the ultimate domino to knock down?
Without a doubt. Identity is the single strongest driver of human behavior.
Really?
Yeah. When you walk around saying, I want to be confident, look at what you are actually doing to yourself.
What are you doing?
You are positioning confidence as a distant object outside of yourself. You are acknowledging a deficit. You are saying, I lack this thing and I must chase it.
You're confirming to your brain that you don't have it.
Precisely. But when you shift your internal narrative to, I am someone who shows up, you are laying claim to an identity based entirely on action.
And the beauty of this identity is that it does not require you to feel fearless.
Not at all. It just requires you to be present. You can be terrified, your stomach can be in knots, your palms can be sweating. But if you step into the arena, if you click send on that daunting email, if you walk into that room, you have successfully fulfilled your identity.
You showed up.
You showed up.
I mean, that completely removes the pressure to feel a certain way, doesn't it? It decouples your actions from your emotions.
Exactly.
If my only goal is to show up, then my anxiety is basically irrelevant to my success. I can be anxious and still win.
Yes. It transforms confidence from a fleeting, unpredictable mood into an undeniable, observable pattern of discipline.
And once your brain recognizes that you are simply a person who consistently shows up, regardless of the internal weather, confidence is no longer something you have to actively try to conjure.
It just becomes the natural byproduct of who you are.
It becomes automatic.
Yeah.
That is such a monumental shift in perspective. Instead of staring up at the sky waiting for the storm clouds of self-doubt to part, you just put on a raincoat and walk out the door anyway.
I love that visual.
To wrap this all up, learner, let's briefly recap the core realization we want you to take away from this deep dive.
Right.
It is time to stop chasing confidence, as if it were a magical personality trait that you were either blessed with at birth or tragically denied. That is the big lie that keeps us paralyzed.
The biggest lie.
The truth is, confidence is a mechanical equation. It is the result of taking action when you are scared, repeating that action until your primal brain realizes you aren't going to die, and meticulously collecting the undeniable proof of your own survival and competence.
Brick by brick.
Exactly. You don't find it, you build it, brick by brick, through a rigorous pattern of self-trust.
And since we've established that keeping promises to yourself is the concrete foundation of that self-trust, I want to leave you with a rather complex reality to ponder.
Oh.
We are human. You are going to falter. What happens when life gets in the way, your discipline slips, and you inevitably break a promise to yourself?
Right, because it happens to all of us.
It does. So, does your entire meticulously built system of confidence reset to zero? Or is there a way to reframe failure? Is there a way that the very act of bouncing back, of forgiving yourself, course-correcting, and getting back to work becomes its own unique, even stronger form of undeniable proof?
Oh, wow. Bouncing back is its own form of proof. That is a brilliant puzzle. It means even failure can be used as raw material to build trust.
Exactly.
Learner, I highly encourage you to take that thought into your day. Think about your own patterns, identify where you've been building plywood movie sets, and figure out where you can start pouring some real concrete today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Stop waiting to feel ready. Go out there, do one hard thing, and start collecting your evidence. We will catch you next time.